Is this the most updated docket that we have?
I mean, are you looking at the Cold Pizza Party collab episode?
I am not looking at that one. That would be...
I was not aware there was a different docket.
Idiots.
Yeah, perhaps. I've never denied it.
Okay. Yeah, you just started doing like the separate folders, and I'm not used to it yet.
Yeah.
So
weird. Well, as long as the guests know what we're doing.
I think they were on the right docket. It was just me and Bo that were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Kelton, you should put the dockets in separate folders for the guests.
Then we proceed to just not fucking check them. Yeah.
Remember when we used to go through this on Saturday nights to avoid this awkward confusion moment? Good times.
Psychic Dolphin Garage.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Psychic Dolphin Garage. We appreciate you joining us and hope your day has been going well, or night, or early morning, don't quite know. Anyways, I'm one of your co-hosts, Kelton, and joining me today is my good buddy, Zach. How's it going?
Hey, it's going great over here in the garage. It's been rainy. It's been a wonderful weekend, here in the U.S. at least. And it is evening for us and morning for everybody else in the other countries that have started listening to us.
Yeah, shout out to the 21 listeners in Jordan.
Yes,
wow.
Exactly. We're starting to get really popular in Jordan.
Radicalize the people in the Middle East. Come on, let's do it. Nothing bad can possibly happen.
Yeah, that's definitely what people in Jordan need. A fucking bunch of Americans telling them what to do.
Americans like Bo.
Nope, nobody's... Hello there, yes. Thank you for the introduction. No Americans have ever, bombed the Middle East with a whole shitload of dumb, unnecessary audio recordings. Nor have they done the same for Eastern Europe, via Radio Free Europe. Anyway, this is a whole other fucking tangent. We are also joined by the lovely folks from Cold Pizza Party. I don't know what order y'all want to introduce yourselves in, so I'll leave it up to y'all.
Hi, I'm Adam.
And I'm Lubica. I'm from Eastern Europe, so I can tell you all about it.
What did you do, Bo?
Welcome to the podcast.
I'm just saying, the United States has a long and storied history of just broadcasting absolute horseshit across the globe.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Well, she's a Macedonian, so you can thank her for Trump's election due to Facebook posts.
I personally coordinated the teens in Vegas.
Yeah, no, my great aunt who only types in caps lock, and I mean, I'm pretty sure she knows how to turn it off, but just doesn't. Absolutely loves your work. So, yeah.
Well, shouts out to her.
Yeah, we're very excited to be starting to network with people. We were on, of course, Cold Pizza Party's episode involving the Real Housewives of Dallas, which was fun and not at all a mind torture for me that I'm still recovering from.
Fun's a word for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that was a really good app. My dad really liked it.
Oh, good.
Excellent. Once again,
our
we are
one
cornering the dad market one at a time.
Hey, look.
Just make that solely for Adam's dad, and the torture you went through was explicitly for him. So,
I mean, no.
Honestly,
let's just do a full fucking book club style episode by episode breakdown of fucking Real Housewives of Dallas, just for Adam's dad.
That's
Honestly,
called a Patreon tier, is what you're thinking of.
The Adam's dad tier,
the
yeah.
single Patreon tier.
Yeah. So, big announcement about what we're doing real quick. We are starting a quest to get to 100 iTunes reviews because we are falling pathetically behind, and it's just rather abysmal. There's only so many alt accounts we can make for ourselves and leave reviews to look more authentic. So we need your help, and we're going to plan something for once we hit 100. No real idea quite exactly as to what that is. So if you guys also have some inspiration for it, go ahead and let us know. In the meantime, of course, go ahead and hang out with us on the Discord. There's always fun shit happening there. We recently opened up a sports sub-channel, and we're all complaining about how we did in fantasy football this weekend. So
It's the only channel I have on the Discord that's muted.
as well it should. So, I mean, But I would say, though, that if we are going to be talking about our hatred of sports, we could easily transition that into a hatred of just whatever's on the TV. And the battle for what everyone's trying to watch on the TV, I think, can be summarized as the streaming wars, right? I don't know. Bo, can you add in some like weird 1940s marching off to war style music?
Oh,
there?
like bad, like today in the news. We've
exactly.
Retaken,
the streaming wars.
We've
Disney
retaken the
Plus
shores
today.
of Hulu as our brave boys on the fucking.
I don't think that guy would say fucking.
On the fucking. No, hey, listen, it's. The standards for radio are much looser than you expected.
Fuck you if you think I'm gonna let it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I'm streaming this via Twitch right now, so as long as I don't show my tits off, I'm fine.
Yeah. So needless
If I were
to
on
say,
YouTube, I couldn't say heck.
the streaming wars are really heating up, and the everyone's kind of forming into the battle station. So in one corner we have Disney Plus, in another we have Netflix, NBC, and Universal, and I think Comcast is a subsidiary of that. They've all made their own, and they're calling it Peacock, which is yeah, good times, good branding. And then Warner Brothers / AT&T, they're going with HBO Max. And everyone's quickly trying very hard to gather up as many intellectual properties and put it on their streaming service, because this is not at all a bubble. This will not at all pop. And the strategy is just to be the last person standing at the end of the day.
Yeah, and by heating up, we mean literally dropping $500 million on a licensing out TV shows that they think are going to get them the most viewers.
Yeah, that seems to be like the base price, which is fucking insane.
Yeah, no, y'all, hey, fuck this podcast nonsense. Let's literally just, let's do some bullshit spec script, sell it to Netflix or Hulu or whoever, and just buy an island, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure Little St. James might be coming up soon.
I mean, you guys know that Stephen King sells certain short stories for $1, right? So we could just adapt that and be like, from the mind of Stephen King
comes some absolute horse shit he wrote when he was super coked out back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. Not at all picking up the scrawls in his Etch-a-Sketch, trying to piece together
Something
into
Stephen
a plot.
King once saw on a bathroom, on the inside of a bathroom stall.
Yeah, it's all getting real bad, and so I know that some people may not care, and they may think, oh, well, why is this a big deal? Again, it's a big deal when people are spending so much money on this. I mean, this is the media equivalent of a true arms race, and it has the spending budgets that would corroborate that sort of a storyline.
The only reason why streaming is so big is because it's convenient. Like, it's more convenient to pay $10 a month to have someone create an app and to categorize all this data that they have, all of the entertainment options that are available to you, and to pay someone else $80 a month to be able to send it straight to your cell phone wirelessly.
Yeah, I want you guys real quick. I put a link in that shows everything that will be available on Disney Plus the first day of operation. I don't know if y'all get a chance to open that real quick.
This is like the equivalent of like clicking on Goatsy knowing it's Goatsy. Like, I know nothing good is on the other side, but for whatever reason I'm compelled to continue through.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to see Goatsy, but I do think he might have colon cancer, and this is the only way to figure this out.
Yuck.
To save this man.
It takes like at least like 5 minutes to scroll through this whole list. Actually, like, you just keep scrolling and scrolling.
Yeah, this is.
Let's just run through not all of them because dear God,
Please.
But
no.
let's just say that there's a fair amount. 10 Things I Hate About You, 500 Days of Summer, of course, Aladdin and all of the Avengers movies. You get some weird
Fantasia
stuff.
and Fantasia 2000.
Freaky Friday.
Hell yeah, the Cheetah Girls, both 1 and 2. Let's not forget.
That's important. You can't just watch one.
Yeah, goddamn, they really are hitting like a lot of millennial touchstones.
This is
Like,
a
there's a
horrible
fucking-
reminder of how many things that we like that are in like our repertoire of pop culture are just
Well, like is a strong
Disney.
phrase.
Well, the things that are in our repertoire of pop culture that are all Disney owned.
Yeah,
True. Yeah.
It's not good. I mean, and
Okay.
what's
most
worse
important.
is
Oh, sorry.
oh no, go ahead.
What I have to say is very dumb. But most importantly, they have both Xenon, Girl of the 21st Century, and Xenon the sequel, Zetus Lapidus. Thank God. Otherwise, I would not subscribe. But now, obviously, I will be forking over my $4.99 or whatever it is.
Yeah, and
Yeah, no, I was originally just gonna pirate all this, whatever I needed, but I saw Doug's first movie was on there, and goddamn.
If I can't watch Xenon, Girl of the 21st Century at least once a month, I will kill myself. So
Same. Yeah.
yeah, in a weird story. Don't ask me exactly how far I dug to figure this out. They are going to be releasing for the first time ever the complete Darkwing Duck series.
Oh, wow.
Because
Oh,
if you
cool.
try to find copies of it, there's about 6 to 8 episodes that are missing for sure. And so these are episodes that haven't been seen for, I don't know, a decade and a half. I don't know how long that show's exactly been off the air,
okay, I
but
thought
too
the
long.
point of this was that we were going to shit on it, but now you are selling me on it.
Fine. Okay, let's go back to shitting on it. Santa Claus 1, Santa Claus 2, Santa Claus 3.
Not hearing anything that turns me off so far, but
Yeah.
okay.
No. Are y'all really gonna act like a streaming series that gives you The Emperor's New School is not solid gold?
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's truly so much that you have the 1987 version of DuckTales and the 2017 remake of DuckTales. It's circling
But where-
in on itself.
Where else am I going to see Gargoyles? I was legitimately a fan of that.
Oh my God,
Gargoyles
Gargoyles!
kicks ass, yeah. But
Okay.
no, I mean, honestly, like, we just need to revitalize piracy culture. Like, if all these things are releasing on all these platforms that, I mean, like y'all were saying, Darkwing Duck had in every release, a handful of episodes missing, and also all the, European cuts where they say fuck missing. We just need to fucking fire up the old screen recorder, OBS, or whatever you want to use, just spend a good afternoon binging all this, taking it all down, putting it in files, and then upload it to your favorite torrent site, maybe. Do something like that.
I think
Yeah,
piracy
yeah,
too
that's-
is piracy is anti-colonial. Every immigrant I know just pirates whatever they want.
Fuck yeah, yeah.
Also, Adam said it a second ago, but I mean, they really, everything we've mentioned, but where we're like, oh, okay, I'm kind of joking, but actually, like, I really low-key do want to watch Xenon, is that, like, they're really capitalizing on this, like, millennial, it seems like, particularly, because I think we're starting to move into that phase of our lives where I don't think most of us have spending money, but we're supposed to.
Yeah.
And so they're kind
We're
of...
not telling them that we don't.
Yeah.
I guess.
But they're kind of capitalizing on this millennial nostalgia, it seems like. I mean, so many of these things, as we're scrolling down the list, it's like, oh, wow, like Lizzie McGuire. Yep, I used to watch that in between, like, after school, between, like, lacrosse practice or whatever, so it's like, I don't know, it feels
It's
so
amazing
manipulative,
that
I
they
guess.
feel like they think that I'm going to watch Lizzie McGuire over my anti-capitalist YouTube shows that I watch.
Yo. Also, I mean, worth mentioning, the fucking Simpsons is on here.
Yeah,
Like,
I was
this is
about to mention.
a big get.
Yeah, that's pretty
but also-
Every Gen Xer just right there.
just busted anyway.
The more The
Smart
Simpsons
guy.
sucks.
Smart guys on here.
Yeah.
I was too excited not to interrupt you. Sorry.
It's so weird.
Oh, cool.
But all I'm saying is all of this is also available, either torrent it or fucking a lot of this is on DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah, God forbid you buy a physical copy and own it forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of these old shows are probably at your library on DVD, actually.
Honestly.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Nah, that would be mind blowing if libraries started their own streaming service.
That'd be cool as hell. You can
No, there is
with,
one. Yeah,
with
there
like
is one.
audiobooks for sure, I know.
Yeah.
there's one
I was
called
just thinking about the
Canopy.
actual content itself. That would be
That'd
fascinating.
be badass. You pay like $10 a month, like the library collaboration, and they all just like upload their own stuff to different servers for people to like. They basically just have like a server dedicated in their library to like torrenting.
There is like a free thing called Canopy with a K. It's if you have a library card, you can sign up and watch, PBS documentaries and Criterion Collection movies, and
Yeah, there's some
they
Classic
actually have a lot
cinema,
of new movies too.
Indie films.
Nice.
Sounds like Bo's cup of tea.
Sounds like Bo's
listen.
dating profile is what it sounds like.
I've got the same wave file of trash humpers I've had since high school. That's the only cinema I need. All right.
Yeah, in the news recently, Disney CEO Bob Iger believed if Steve Jobs was still alive, that they would have sought a merger with Apple. So,
Well, this isn't the first time I've said it, but thank fucking God he's not.
yes, this is providing even more encouragement for why all CEOs need to die. Hypothetically. Haha. Parody,
Hypothetically.
satire.
And why
Yeah,
we can
jokes.
never let that Epstein dream come to fruition of like billionaires living forever.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Nothing can possibly go wrong. The issue though that bugs me is that it's not just Disney. People are now again going across the aisle, and they're also pirating, so to speak, from other intellectual properties. Like Netflix bought Seinfeld from Hulu for
Yeah.
$500 million. And the NBC bought The Office from themselves for $500 million. Which,
Yeah, this is like so stupid, but it also really makes me think about like you were kind of joking and saying like, oh, this isn't a bubble, haha, or whatever. But like, just think about the industry that surrounds this. Like, everything from the people who have to actually like maintain the databases and build the apps and whatever, to like the lawyers that are like working through these deals and like negotiating from NBC like to selling like the Office to itself and shit like that. Like, there's so much wrapped up in this, like so many jobs that like actually if this bubble does burst, I think it could like legitimately cause a serious, at least a worrying problem.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, consider also on top of course, all the infrastructural stuff you mentioned, the fact that Netflix and other services are trying to put out a new original fucking monthly, basically.
Right.
remember
like-
when Netflix originals were actually something to get excited about and not realize
I
that
know.
it's some German thing that gets dubbed over?
Yup.
Yup.
Shout out to The Dark. It's a fantastic show. It's
is.
like nihilist Stranger Things. So,
They need
God.
to start doing more like low budget detective with a weird personality disorder shows.
Adam
Oh,
and I
yeah.
have been watching Monk, and then we ran out of Monk episodes, so we started watching Psych. And that's why Adam
Yes.
Wait, actually, thank you so much for reminding me that Happy. Wait, is season 2 out yet?
yeah, season 2's out.
Yeah. Okay. I gotta watch. All right. Well. Yeah.
They've
I know
already
what I'm doing after
canceled
this
Happy.
recording.
That's how long ago season 2 came out.
They fucking canceled Tuca and Birdie. I mean, this is a whole other fucking tangent, but they canceled Tuca and Birdie, and fuck Netflix for that. I mean, I
Yeah,
still give
again,
them money
it's
every
because-
month, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I just have, my own Netflix hookup. So once they get pissed off and take that moral high ground stand, then I will shit on Netflix.
Well, so that is, I mean, we touched briefly on this, and not to bounce around too much, but we did talk about how, like, how the fuck are millennials supposed to afford, 6 or 7 streaming services? It's because we build our friend groups around, like, okay, Dave's the guy who's got Hulu and HBO. Sharon's stealing her mom's Netflix account and sharing it with us, so that's all cool. Listen, are you really a real millennial if you're not basing your polycule off of what subscription services you guys are members of? Come on.
Well, and see, that strategy works until things get ugly, until Comcast starts throttling Netflix and Disney Plus, or until AT&T decides that, Peacock and Hulu aren't going to work for them on theirs, or until Apple decides that, they're just not going to support apps for any other streaming service. Like when stuff gets that ugly, that's when the polycule breaks down. And
that's when the streaming wars get real, and we actually have to go to war for our
take up
chosen
arms
provider.
against, yeah.
Because streaming has already absolutely fucked writers and creators to where now they're getting basically no residuals. They're now operating off of a point system based on just like what their initial paycheck is, which is more upfront, which is nice, I guess, temporarily. But then it depends on how many awards they get, and then how much viewership drops will directly affect how much they get in the future, which to people who may think, they get paid plenty anyway. I mean, not every show is going to be The Office or The Simpsons or Seinfeld. There's a lot of mid-tier things where writers do depend on residuals from 8 different shows to then help them out as then they're working on new projects and stuff like that.
And think about how people get so wrapped up in like the music industry and how labels are taking royalties from all these people, and how streaming services are destroying the royalties that artists get for the music that they've made. That's basically the same thing that's happening to writers and to animators and to anybody that's involved in television or moving pictures in general.
Yeah,
and it's just not as talked about because we haven't had a crisis over it yet.
Yeah.
True. I mean, and that's not to say that, every pitch in every TV show on these streaming services is going to be gold, okay? I mean, like, a lot of it's going to be garbage. Did y'all see what the pitch was for the Saved by the Bell reboot? Or not reboot, but the continuation series?
It looks so good.
I don't know which one of those is worse.
Let me read it to you, okay? Let's take it line by line. Okay. The new straight-to-series comedy explores what happens when California Governor Zach Morris gets into hot water for closing too many low-income high schools and proposes the affected students be sent to the highest-performing schools in the state, including Bayside High. The influx of new students gives the overprivileged Bayside kids a much-needed and hilarious dose of reality.
I mean, honestly, that sounds terrible to begin with.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know what I love about Saved by the Bell? The issue of low-income high schools getting shut down.
I really loved all the politics in the original. I mean, not to sound like some Gamergate dipshit, but I really loved the sad political reality of the original Saved by the Bell. I mean, my initial takeaway was, we should reboot this so that in the first episode, whatever fucking dumb Screech equivalent they come up with for the reboot or the continuation or whatever, just flosses in the first episode, and then immediately viewership drops. Like, the show gets canceled right then and there.
Yeah, no, the first minute of the show needs to be flossing, Fortnite, and
vaping,
Stranger Things reference.
All the stuff high school kids love these days.
Yeah, we're acting like that's not going to be a thing. I mean, it's going to be like the Full House reboot where everyone watches it for the first season, and then we're like, oh, this is why we don't watch it anymore. Mm-hmm. So
is this a bit you guys made up? Like, is this the real Is this the real?
No,
thing
no,
for the show?
it's the real thing. It's the real pitch.
Oh my
We
God.
thought for sure you just made it up.
Yeah.
Sounds
The docket.
in a just world, it would be made up, but
Yeah, when we were looking at the docket, I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess this is like a little skit they made up or whatever."
no,
That's cool.
this is not like Kelton's like improv homework coming to fucking Psychic Dolphin Garage. This is just the fucking cartoon world we live in.
My God.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for y'all thinking that I was even that level of talented to come up with that. But yeah, so I mean, like when people are throwing money at relaunches or reimaginings or whatever you want to call it of old IP, and then they're buying new or they're buying existing IP for 500 or 600 or undisclosed close to $1 billion amount. It's insanity. It's thinking about the only way that people are going to even have this be feasible is the fact that we're going to suddenly have AT&T prices go up a little bit, or certain cable packages are going to fall apart now, and licensing.
Yeah, it sounds like a bubble, right? Like they're just like speculating and like wildly throwing money and like overvaluing things. Like, in one of these articles, they were talking about how they spent like $500 million to acquire Seinfeld, but outside of America and like Latin America, it doesn't really have much of a base because like it's very specific to like the time and cultural moment, and it just doesn't translate well outside of the US. And it's like, so why the fuck would you spend so much money to buy it? Like, that really is a gamble. But if you are in this kind of like feeling of like, oh, this is a new market and like there's so much money to be made here, let's just like take a gamble. I mean, that's what you do, and that's like how bubbles get created, like
because America's
through... sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Bo forgot what he's gonna say.
No. We were like cross talking. I was just gonna say. No, sorry.
God damn it, Bo!
Idiot.
Just go.
I'm just saying.
America's the only country that has money, and in an ever expanding system of capitalism, you need to generate more profit, and you need to continually expand. Like, America's the only place you can do that. There's no reason why we should make our service cheaper and expand it to other countries, or create the infrastructure that doesn't exist in other countries for something like gigabit internet for everybody.
I think
because
she's
that's
talking about the cultural impact of Seinfeld just isn't important to someone in Paraguay.
No.
Stop being a goddamn nerd for a second and start thinking about like the actual jokes. God damn it.
Also, generally speaking, like country, like as far as like of course, like America's like rapidly decaying in a lot of like really fucked up, interesting ways. But all things considered, it's at least ostensibly a country that has its shit together in some regards.
What?
But like, yeah, right. Well, so literally every other country that's like comparable in terms of like anything, I guess, economic development, however you want to say it, like has way better internet.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Yeah.
Did anybody?
Yeah.
Did anybody see Girl Meets World, the Boy Meets World reboot?
Absolutely
not.
Oh,
no.
It's so bad, it'll make you hate the original. I think it's a good argument that these, what did you say, like franchises? These intellectual properties should just be available to everybody. Because random people on YouTube could make a better version than...
Oh my god, okay.
They sank a bunch of money into.
Yeah.
The way that we have not licensing, I can't think of the office that does when you apply for the patent office. Yeah. Patents only last like X amount of years. Like intellectual properties of entertainment media should only last like X amount of years, and then at that point it's just like here are the files. Here you go.
Right now it's life plus 70 years, right? So if you make something when you're 20, it's not going to be in the public domain for over a century.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's some fucked up shit.
Well, especially with how quickly we move through we move through media as a culture in America specifically and worldwide, like how fast all of the information can, Netflix can release something in every country in the world, like, and all the money that is made off of these intellectual properties isn't going to the writers.
Yeah. We already have like a new model to move to, which is the like Patreon model. I mean, media will change. We won't have TV shows the same way, but it's time to just let these dinosaurs die.
No, it should be free.
I mean, we need to support
Silence.
Nationalize the streaming services. No,
Yeah.
going back to the library thing. Like, yeah, fucking like make it ours.
Yeah, like, I know these people obviously, like, need to be supported, which is obviously why we get rid of capitalism. But, like, it's, like, who can afford, like, again, who can afford to pay for we watch a ton of TV, you and I. Mm-hmm. Who can afford to pay for every single TV show we watch? If we had to pay for Monk, we never would have rewatched it.
Yeah.
But think about all the joy it gave us.
Yeah, I do think it would be interesting to go into the idea of if libraries were to act as quasi-streaming services or catalogs of content. And then maybe, just maybe, the United States were to do something as a first step, similar to what Canada does with a stipend for the arts, because that seems like a good and normal thing to do.
The New Deal, right? Like, we supported artists in a bunch.
Yeah,
of
but I mean that was but then we realized that was communist and
the CIA, the CIA giving Jackson Pollock LSD and cash is not supporting the arts.
Dude, actually, Disney would have if we hadn't they got to animate a bunch of shorts of telling people to I don't know, join the army and do whatever. And at that point, they had spent so much money on Snow White and whatever their second thing was, that they, or maybe it was just Snow White, that they were basically not able to they weren't financially functional, basically. And without that infusion of cash from the U.S. government, Disney wouldn't be in a position to today fucking dom all of us,
it's ridiculous.
Or whatever.
Yeah, we also wouldn't have the Karl Marx anime without state funding, so.
God.
It really makes you think about the plus and negative side of sponsoring the arts, huh?
Well, I mean, with some...
Yeah. Help sponsor the arts. That way, then we can get another check notes. Disney.
We are all here to discuss, right? How much we love Disney, and we want Disney to be our patron savior.
I don't know about y'all.
Patreon savior. Thank you.
I don't know about y'all, but once November rolls around next year, I've already made up my mind for Elizabeth Warren, because she's the one who's going to bring Disney's take on the Karl Marx anime to the United States, and I honestly just can't wait.
She has a plan for that.
Yeah.
It's one of the most grating phrases. That is the I'm not like the other girls of political statements.
Yes.
God.
I absolutely cannot stand. I guess the real question is, do we know, for example, if Ed Buck contributed to Elizabeth Warren's political campaign?
Coulda.
I mean, that's a solid question, considering how much he donated to Democratic, campaigns and PACs and whatever. Probably some money. All money is green, right? So some money probably got... at minimum, co-mingled into funds given to her.
Mm-hmm. He actually meant to donate it to native lands, but it went to her campaign instead. So.
Oh
no! I guess for people who aren't on a first name basis with totally normal dudes doing totally normal things, Ed Buck is a high profile Democratic donor who. Allegedly, I guess we have to say for legal purposes, is a complete and thorough monster who forcibly overdosed 3 individuals in his apartment.
Well, so you can say legally speaking, you can say the complete and total monster thing without libel. It's the allegedly overdosed part. That's
Okay,
the legal
gotcha,
part.
gotcha,
So yes,
yes.
Ed Buck is a complete and total monster. No qualifiers.
Yeah. And
Who
unrelated
allegedly,
to that,
yeah.
he killed
Unrelated
3
to that, he
people.
allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Also, what? Fucking yeah, sue me, dude. I'm in Texas. You can't touch me. That's how that works, right? Yeah. No, this is disgusting. Yeah, like.
It's super horrifying, partially because when you like actually read into the so he finally got arrested, even though we've like known about this guy for a couple of years now.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you like read into the details, you think, oh, okay, so this man's going to be charged at least with one murder finally. And it's like, no, it's because he was like running a drug den. So, you know, like the max is 5 years. And it just feels like this is another example where we have a really rich, powerful white guy, of course. And, you know, we're having this same situation as with like Epstein, where you're being told like, oh, don't believe your lying eyes. You know, like it's sort of like, yeah, we all know that there's something like way worse happening here, but instead we have to pretend like, oh, well, who knows, allegedly, anyone, you know, we need to investigate more, we don't know exactly what happened, blah blah blah. And it's like, no, we all know what happened, we've known for years, come on, fucking do something about it.
Yeah, the insistence by you know, the ruling class and the media class that, you know, oh no, this is just some weirdo guy. This is not evidence of any broader problem or issue.
He's a lone wolf billionaire.
Yeah, exactly. Like this isn't you know, one more fucking just pile of bodies that's evidence that, you know, fucking Eyes Wide Shut was essentially a documentary. You know?
I mean, and if people get a chance to look at him, I think we can all expect in about 10 to 15 years Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny to do an Oscar-winning performance as this man.
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys seen what he looks like?
Yeah, he's pretty horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, man, there's
I
going to
could
be
see
some
that.
there's going to be some movie made about him, and it's going to be like, I can't believe that this happened. Anyways, give me an Oscar, one of them shiny golden statues.
I mean, I think it's also worth mentioning that there seems to be like a clear MO here, right? Like, it's not just that there were like 3 men that overdosed. They're gay men, they're black men, they're men at risk. One of them had a diary where he specifically talks about like how, I don't know how I got addicted to drugs, but Ed Buck is to blame, and I'm like addicted to the worst one. He got me addicted to crack. You know, like there's like
it's thoroughly exploitative. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this is a pattern. Like in any other situation, like it would be used essentially to establish that this man is like serially committing a crime here.
Okay, but have we considered that maybe the police are trying to, you know, ignore the fact that these people are black and gay because they don't want to succumb to identity politics? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that must be it.
Obviously.
Yeah, it is crazy, though, how it can make the headlines where one billionaire kills 3 people. And even if it's a blip just for a little bit, you know, it kind of moves on. And then we're like, oh, yeah, no, this is the big story about billionaires killing people. Let's not focus at all on Purdue Pharmaceuticals whatsoever. Let's ignore what's going on with those people, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Did you see that they tried to illegally wire $1 billion? Okay, for our listeners at home who don't understand exactly what money is, that is 2 Big Bang Theories worth of money that they tried to illegally wire overseas, and then they got caught, and then they were like, we're filing for Chapter 11, and people were like, okay, well, I mean, we can finally get an audit going, and then it comes out that certain employees, names not yet specified, are going to still keep $34 million in Golden Umbrella or golden parachute style.
Well, why
packages.
shouldn't they? They worked really, really hard to get a bunch
Obviously.
of poor people
Yeah.
addicted to the point where they overdosed and fucking died. That's just being good at your job.
The hand of the free market isn't invisible. The hand of the free market is the owners of Purdue Pharma.
Yeah, this is totally like to humanize this story a little bit, because we definitely could use that. It's basically like you get your card declined at a restaurant, and absolutely just hands and knees beg the manager to just oh, I'm so sorry, I'm all out of money, my everything's going wrong, and then you fucking walk out with $1,000 bill that you had somebody holding for you. Like, it's just so fucking Scrooge McDuck crazy evil that it blows my mind.
And they're also like touting this settlement and saying like, oh well, they're relinquishing ownership of the company and they're providing $3 billion, and that'll get dispersed obviously in various ways. So that sounds like a big settlement until you learn that conservatively their estimated net worth is $14 billion. It's like,
oh yeah,
this is nothing. I mean, I don't know. Do you care about giving away like $3 if you have $14 in your pocket? Like,
yeah, no, actually, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, like, I need to revise my metaphor, because it's not like you like had a nice dinner and were supposed to pay a lot of money. It's more like you're walking out on paying for a fucking like McDouble or something.
Yeah.
Like,
A McDouble.
A McDouble. Yes, just the one.
A year or two ago, I made a spreadsheet converting billionaires' wealth into Transformers movies. So for $14 billion, you could produce 70 Transformers movies and just give it to us for free. We could just all go watch it for free.
Just the people's Transformers movies, yeah.
Yeah, so they could produce 30 Transformers movies and still be some of the richest people on Earth.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah,
I mean,
Transformers
what if
movies are the most expensive, right? That have been.
Yeah, that's why I used it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we could just all see Transformers movies free for like probably until we're like too
Until you
senile
and I
to
retire.
remember that we
Yeah.
had seen the first one.
Nationalize the Transformers movies.
Can you imagine going up to the relatives of the victims who overdosed tragically from these opioids in this massive epidemic and being like, well, if it's any consolation, we have 30 Transformers movies that are going to get made now. So don't you worry.
Generations of children will go without ever knowing a world in which they have to pay for a Transformers movie.
Yeah, it's Dark of the Night 12.
It's really a devil's bargain is what happens. I mean, I don't know. It just seems to me that when we have giant news stories like this occurring and taking place, it always falls in the back seat. It always for whatever reason we get sidetracked with ridiculous sorts of things and things that I think are flash in the pan. And I do wonder about this. But then this week specifically, I think that maybe the matrix that we all live in, the simulation, glitched a little too hard, because now apparently aliens are real, and we're just supposed to be totally cool with that, and that's going to be the thing that distracts us. Like, oh yeah, this will calm down their existential sense of dread. The idea of the Navy confirming UFOs. Yeah, let's do this.
It's so great too that it's such like a minor thing relative to just the constant stream of just garbage that's happening. That's like, oh yeah, the Navy offhandedly is like, yeah, UFOs are real, don't fucking talk about it. Of course the same week as the Area 51 meme finally coming to its weak climax, but yeah.
The video that came out that then got shared by none other than Blink 182's Tom DeLonge.
I mean, I knew how that sentence was ending, and still, it just hit me like a fucking truck.
It's just absolutely insane. The whole UFO scene is very weird, because you have Tom DeLonge, and then you have Harry Reid, and then like one of like the leading outer space type people also owns a line of hotel chains. And you're just like, what is happening? How are these people's lives so interconnected? Because then the Navy said that the video that got released was real, but it shouldn't have been released. And they're not UFOs, they're UAPs, which stands for something else, but they're goddamn UFOs for all I care. You know?
Doesn't it make you love Tom DeLonge though? Like, if I were rich, this is what I would want to. This is what I hope I would spend my money on.
Yeah,
As
instead
opposed
of
to,
running
you know,
WikiLeaks, we wish that Julian Assange ran, UFO leaks.
Yeah, not like Bill and Melinda Gates, who spent billions of dollars trying to convince people that charter schools are the way to go, ruined the school systems across the country, and then recently came out and admitted, oh yeah, we were wrong, sorry about that.
They paid Rand Corp to do an audit of their experiment where they pumped $700 million into a few school districts across the country, and and they, of course, they implemented high stakes testing and all this stuff that was supposed to be cutting edge. And then Rand Corp, which, is not a progressive organization or something, came back and was yeah, actually this was a total failure and we should probably have been doing what educators say all along. So it's hilarious to see what actually most rich people spend their money on.
Yeah,
well, it's not just hilarious, it's also deeply detrimental, because while they were doing their experiment, of course, a bunch of other people were oh, we should probably implement high stakes testing too. This is
And meanwhile, Tom DeLonge with 1/100th of the money is making real progress.
Yeah, on the alien issue, yeah.
Yeah, you can't convince me that Bill Gates hasn't found a way to get high off of the fucking malaria vaccine, and so that's his real reason for getting into this. But I mean, Tom DeLonge, that just screams true passion project,
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's just gonna get really sad when he starts to blame UFOs on why the Blink-182 plane crashed. That's gonna be when things get real sad for all of us,
No, it's true. They're a more advanced species, and they shot it down because pop punk fucking sucks. And they're punishing humanity for creating such trash. Yeah.
The fact that Blink-182 is on tour with Lil Wayne right now just really makes me want to be a fly on the wall of that tour bus and try and figure out what the fuck those conversations are like.
Yeah.
All I can imagine is Lil Wayne just sitting on one of the you know how you always see the interiors of those kind of big buses where it's there's a couple little benches and maybe a table or whatever. It's just Lil Wayne sitting on one of the benches just texting the whole fucking time. Somebody will say hey man, me and the guys are gonna hang out and have some beers or something. You want to come with? And he's like, oh no, I'm busy, and then just goes back to fucking just totally checking out. He's here to make $1 and nothing else.
No, Tom DeLonge is absolutely talking Lil Wayne's ear off about aliens, and Lil Wayne is just nervously looking at the full bottle of Robitussin that's just barely out of reach,
Lil Wayne is
wondering if he
already
has
in
one
space.
last ride in him.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the Action Bronson show where they just watch Ancient Aliens?
Holy shit, no, but that sounds right up my alley.
It's so good, I won't even shit on Vice anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
deserves
really
an Emmy.
good. It's really, really good.
Man,
They green screen it behind them. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, they're on a couch, getting stoned and, ordering Uber Eats. And then behind them, it's, green screened what they're actually watching. And it's, that guy, what's his name?
Giorgio,
with, the crazy hair and stuff. It's incredible.
Yeah. Not to jump too far back, make too much of a Psychic Dolphin Garage deep cut, but earlier our conversation about streaming, who the fuck needs to stream anything anymore when you can just watch people get high and watch them watch things?
Yeah.
I mean,
fucking media has peaked. That's it.
yeah,
It's
everything
more
now is
fun.
just MST3K just repeated in on itself.
Yeah.
It's not going to be fun. One of the reasons, though, I wanted to mention the UFOs in general was that while I was listening to y'all's latest episode about Another Life, which, by the way, shout out to y'all for actually liking Another Life, made me feel less insane trying to defend it to other people. So it's a fantastic sci-fi series, and I refuse to hear any criticism for it whatsoever.
Obviously, we agree.
But what y'all were talking about how in the series, essentially, first contact isn't necessarily an inherently good thing, and that's the thing that always freaks me out about aliens, is that we're assuming that these are benevolent and they have a sense of morality that we view as inherently good, instead of a possible equally likely scenario that being a non-carbon based life form could really mess with their sense of what's important and what's not, and that would be their value system. And so, I mean, anytime a wildly advanced, technologically advanced species or society runs into a less advanced one, usually the less advanced one gets plundered for resources. And so, can't wait for that to happen. But,
yeah. Well, everything you're saying, but also, like, just think about the anxiety you feel when you're, like, gonna go hang out and you find out, like, oh, there's gonna be a couple people there you don't know. And then, like, magnify that by 1,000,000 for when you have to, like, meet a new species. Like, that's gonna be some major social anxiety-inducing bullshit, okay?
Guess what? Joke's on them. We're already plundering our own resources. You can't take it from
Also,
them.
I'm going to show up drunk and make a scene.
Yeah, I'm gonna drink way too much.
Yep.
Everyone's gonna be uncomfortable.
It's
Really
going to be
channel-
a pull-up in an Uber with my cargo shorts loaded down with Four Locos kind of evening.
I was going the exact opposite way. I was going to say, like, have 6 Manhattans and then get dragged out of the restaurant and drive while then complaining about how your husband doesn't fuck you enough anymore. So, very different vibes altogether here. But the thing that bothers me, I guess, about how fast we're going through resources, other than the fact that, haha, neener to all the aliens, is just the fact that it seems like now tech giants and other corporations are joining this whole climate strike type deal. And they're the second that, your allies are like people like Shell or Exxon or even companies like Microsoft, it kind of makes you wonder, like, okay, well, how revolutionary is this movement in reality?
Yeah. I mean, fucking, I could see in the next, 5-10 years maybe, we have the equivalent of, like, totally sanitized, corporatized pride parades where it's like, Raytheon presents the climate,
Aren't we
climate
there?
saving...
Yeah.
Aren't we there? Like,
I mean, we basically are, but, like, I'm saying full on, like, hey, we are causing the problem, but also our product is colored green. I say this as if it's, a far off future thing. It's not. Never mind. I'm just going to edit this whole bit out.
Well, no. I mean, like, I do understand what you're saying, though, is that, that if the actual person, it's like having cops at Pride, for example, that then to have, like, the Shell climate change awareness float go by, and you're like, I don't think that this is good. Or how politicians are like, well, we're going to work with these private companies and figure out what they think the cap on their carbon emissions should be. It's like, no, motherfuckers, what the hell? What is happening here?
If there's one thing that we learned from the Bill and Melinda Gates education initiative, it's that the rich people don't know what the fuck is good for them.
No.
Yeah.
They absolutely don't. No. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, and this has been expressed a million times all across the internet, but if I were a rich person, I would be buying fancy cheese, classic video games, and cool cars. I wouldn't be buying political clout to make things worse for everyone else on the planet.
If I was a really rich person, I wouldn't buy cool cars. I would buy an entire transit system for the city and then just have my own car attached to everything.
Oh my god,
It's like
that's
everybody
great.
else gets on their car and then
That's a
I
really
get
good
on
idea.
my own car, okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Like I'm like chaotic evil, I guess? Is that fair?
I'm twisted. Look at me.
Well, in a
Yeah,
bunch
you
of
think we
these-
live in a society now? Oh, just wait.
Well, in a bunch of the articles that were talking about the climate justice march, you know, they'd be like, oh, it's so cool, a bunch of teens came out, and then they would also pivot to being like, and Amazon employees, and Google, like 800 Google employees, 1,300 Amazon employees are also supporting the strike, and it's like, okay, like, fuck off. I don't know why this, like, I don't know why I'm supposed to be like, am I supposed to be impressed? Am I supposed to feel that these corporations have solidarity with me? Like, Jeff Bezos came out and said that they're committing to reducing emissions by, I don't know, whatever, 80% or whatever by 2024, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I don't trust Bezos. I don't give a shit. Like, I want, like, the government to do something about that. I want to, like, make this a law and, like, regulate. I'm not asking for voluntary acts of solidarity or support by multi-billion-dollar corporations, right? This is like the Sacklers giving, you know, $3 billion when they're worth minimum $14 billion, and who knows how many billions they wired into like Swiss funds ahead of time. You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
fuck off. I want real action.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
this is.
I mean, the fact that they can even do that in the first place, that, you know, real, like, hey, you know what? Yeah, fine, you got us. Oh, I guess we'll finally face consequences. Meanwhile, there's, you know, zillions of fucking dollars sitting in God knows where. It's
Yeah.
like, cool, nothing has changed. Great.
This is the difference between the Bernie and Warren climate plans too, right? He wants to nationalize stuff. She's like, I don't think that's necessary, right? And normal people
Yeah.
like us, was it Kelton who was saying it makes them suspicious that these companies are even joining the climate march, right?
Yeah.
That's a normal person reaction.
Yeah.
But the Warren professional managerial class base, they
We can use nudges and positive reinforcement and
Adjustments.
tinker.
Incentives. We're
Yeah.
going to incentivize companies to be more green.
Taxes.
they'll read that article and be like, "Oh, look, the Google sent their employees out here. That's great. Google's with us."
Yeah.
I'm with Google.
I guess it just depends whether you think like capitalism is like redeemable or just you know, oppressive anti-human system.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the real sick part of you know, of like the logic of these people, is that they don't even just think capitalism is redeemable. They think capitalism is like the answer to it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
in a sense. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of fucking ink that's been spilled on that whole concept. But like, I mean, we've given this system its chance. It's had a good, you know, a good couple of centuries.
Been
to,
a good run, capitalism.
yeah, it's really been failing upward for about, you know, fucking you know, plus or minus 200 years now. I think maybe we should try something else.
I'm just picturing the scene from Mice and Men, you know, just like, well, George, I got some good news and bad news.
I'm fucking standing behind the Monopoly guy with a shotgun. He's like, "Tell me about the dollars again, Bo."
Tell me about Boardwalk Street, please.
Oh man. And you know, and the thing that's even worse than the fact that corporations are like forcing themselves into the movements that are questionably, you know, grassroots at this point, is that this is also ignoring outright like third world issues with climate change. The how horrible it is that we haven't even begun to consider the breadth of the damages that will be done to human lives outside of our own country, outside of like Houston sinking into the ocean at some point. Like,
Oh no, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, even barring our own, like, you know, physical weather maladies or, you know, all that kind of stuff, a lot of this issue, or a lot of, like, you know, climate issues are framed in terms of climate refugees, of course, in terms of people leaving their countries and you know, leaving more equatorial parts of the world in search of places that aren't being absolutely fucking just demolished by an increasingly more volatile climate. And of course, as people in the places they're being moved to, that's how it's going to be framed. But consider the people who can't get out, like the people who can't pick up and move, as fucking terrible and harsh as that is.
You can just sell your property.
Yeah, take the Ben Shapiro approach and sell your underwater home to then move to
the
fucking Kansas
bidder.
or something.
Yeah.
There's
To the highest elevated bidder.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a fucked system, because, I mean, in New York, they're already just abandoning the idea of even doing any repairs or construction work in areas that they've already accepted as beyond the seawall area, essentially, which is dystopian in and of itself. But then, at least to give people a head as to where we're at in the Houston area, Houston's suffering all this climate change and the effects therein of it. There are 11 active systems as of right now that people are having to keep track of and try and figure out, like, are they going to develop? Are they going to hit us? Or are they, thank God, going to hit some other poor country? It's insanity to then think, like, oh, well, everything is totally fine. We don't need to fix anything, So...
A few months ago, there was this really cool article in Popula, I think it's called. Somebody pretended to be a rich person trying to buy property in Miami, so she went down there and just met with a bunch of real estate agents and saw the fanciest properties there. And every single real estate agent was like, oh yeah, I know climate change is a problem, but like they're going to fix it. It's not going to be a problem. They're going to solve it with engineering and stuff.
Yeah.
Underground
You're right
cities. Underground cities.
When he said that.
That's how they said it. They pointed
Yeah.
there was this initiative to install pumps to drain sidewalks, but they don't drain the roads. They only drain the sidewalks.
Yeah.
Fucking
that's
kill me.
And this is precisely the problem. Yeah, it's that they have this vision of the future where things are going to be chugging along just well enough to continue making money off of real estate or off of whatever industry they happen to be vampirizing at the time. But when I mean, as Kelton was saying, we've got 11 fucking systems developing right now off the off the east coast of the U.S. and in the Caribbean, and I mean, look at like the way the Bahamas were fucking devastated, and I mean, I'm not saying this is going to happen necessarily, but if this continues to get worse, as it is probably going to, you could have fucking 3 different Katrinas all in one month. I mean, can you imagine the absolute non-readiness we have for that? Like, holy shit.
It's just the film The Perfect Storm that's about to happen. Like, I had nightmares about that film as a child, and the waves, like, cresting over these boats and how massive they were, which was only further fed by, like, the Left Behind series, and, like, when the sea turns to blood and the waves come inland and crush everybody, and it was all horrifying. So it's about to happen real time, and, I'm absolutely terrified.
Yep.
But there's what are you gonna, when it's suddenly no longer profitable to, when people, even though we've been saying it for years, when people suddenly realize, when these companies realize that it's no longer profitable to ignore climate change, it will be too late to stop the damages that are going to occur from climate change. And
yeah, I mean, it's too late now. Fucking everybody, all right, here's my recommendation. Read Desert. Fucking, I don't know. Don't get too used to air conditioning. those are my takes.
go camping once a month just to kind of prepare yourself.
Just in case. Just in case things get weird.
All of those apocalypse, like the apocalypse preppers, the doomsday preppers, like suddenly they don't seem so crazy, do they? Is doomsday prepping praxis? or is it just actually rich people like being like almost mask off about how, well, the rich people are going to survive because we have the material resources to create these shelters in which we're going to survive the oncoming environmental collapse and apocalypse that's going to occur. And really it's better because we're the smart ones and those normies are the dumb ones.
Yeah. Well, so this is almost something we skated across the top of last week with the whole Post Malone thing, but
oh yeah,
I mean, you do have like prepper types, but a lot of preppers are prepping less for surviving long term in a non-connected, non-infrastructural world, I guess would be. I'm sure there's somebody smarter who has a better way to say that. But essentially, that ostensibly that's what they're quote unquote preparing for. What they're actually preparing for is their imagination of a fucking Walking Dead, but also race war kind of situation. It's fucking dumb. Which I think a lot of shit is spoken about those kind of crazy asshole preppers, as it should be, because they are crazy assholes, as I said. Mm-hmm. But I think developing a culture of preparedness from a leftist standpoint could be really good in terms of community support, in terms of disaster relief, in terms of, hey, if the power's out for a week and nobody knows where to get food, what do we do? Yeah. Do we leave it up to the people who have a bunch of MREs in their basement and more guns than, anybody else on the block, or do we leave it up to everyone?
Yeah, I mean, I think the key word of what you said there is like community, right? Like, it's absolutely demented to think that you're going to be able to like survive as an individual or a family or whatever. Like, there's going to be massive problems if we do have like a large, global kind of extinction phenomenon happening, and you're not going to be able to overcome those with like, your family and the other, I don't know, however many, like even 100 rich, I don't know how many billionaires there are, but like however many billionaires families exist, especially when none of you are like, have any concept of doing like manual labor,
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, like as much as the Fallout games are fantasy sci-fi, or they're not exactly the most nitty-gritty science fiction out there, but literally every single one of the vaults, for those who are not familiar with the games, basically, before a nuclear apocalypse, a bunch of upper middle class and rich people signed up to be sequestered in underground bunkers, and every single one of these bunkers just turned into an absolute shit show, basically before the bombs were even done dropping.
They turned into, they either socially collapsed or they physically collapsed.
Like, full-on cannibal Donner Party time. Yeah. Like, to think that, just because, I have, zillions of dollars of capital, I mean, if you want to have your special rich person bunker mansion, like, you're still probably going to have people who are either, running the day-to-days for you, and those people are going to be upset pretty quickly, like, hey, let's fucking unionize. By unionize, I mean literally eat the rich. Or you're going to have your security forces, who are probably chuds to begin with, take the helm and turn it into just like a bad Mad Max movie.
Yeah, I mean, in that staff situation, literally the least important person is the billionaire, especially once you're in the bunker and you've been saved from the apocalypse. Then what does your currency mean now? Like,
like if I'm not paying rent, or if I don't have to pay rent, like the dude telling me to do nothing, or the dude telling me to do everything for him while he's doing nothing is immediately the first person I'm going to tell to go fuck himself. Yeah.
Plus, you had to work for that guy beforehand. Come on, you already hate that
Exactly.
guy.
There's already ill will there. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess the summation of this whole segment would be,
central planning won't fix climate collapse, and we should all
No, we should all invest in football pads and hair gel so we can look like properly, post-apocalyptic once everything goes to shit. Yeah. Just get mohawks and spikes and everything and really look cool. Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to remember exactly what the phrase is,
Secede?
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to think, though. Like, maybe the centrist position among all of this, if we're asking for bread and roses and they're asking for bread and circuses, is just some, real, rose parade type stuff, Guns
and Roses. Right.
The rose.
Rose water for my...
Yes. Oh, fuck yeah.
That sounds...
I'm so sorry for laughing at a sports joke, but...
See, this is how you get reeled in, one joke at a time. It
Listen,
begins ironically following all of this. And
No. I'm going to continue to hold my firmly pro-dork stance that I hold, all right?
That's pretty solid.
Yeah. So, what's next, y'all?
Bernie Sanders wants to
Well,
not
we
only
gotta
eat the
we gotta
rich.
have a transition of some kind.
No, what's next, y'all, is the transition in like an existential sense.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nothing. There's only the void after this. This is the one chance we get, so we might as well,
Cool,
I said, central
good.
planning won't save us. We might as well secede from the United States and form our own communes.
Yeah,
Cooperative living.
I'm down.
Cooperative living is the only way to protect ourselves and the rest of the world by disassembling the federal government of the United States one community at a time.
All right, that's cool. I lay claim to Colorado Springs because my commune will have the nukes. How about that? Just in
Just call 'em
case.
dibs.
We'll have
I'm all for this, real high idealism point, but try explaining to the white nationalists in Oregon how we're going to respect each other's spaces. Gets a lot easier when you can just obliterate them. So.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, Bernie's tweeting has been... I'm not sure if he has hired one of the Gravel kids. But his tweeting is starting to separate him from Elizabeth Warren, and I know that I keep saying that Elizabeth Warren is probably the Democrat choice at this point. And
She was a Republican until she was 40, for Christ's sake.
Joe Biden.
Anyway,
Joe
okay.
Biden
That's
is
what
just up
makes
there.
her the perfect Democratic candidate.
Yeah, oh god, it really,
Galaxy brain.
Fuck me running.
That's why she makes the perfect candidate. No, Joe Biden's just up there for Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren to fucking doink on.
Mm-hmm.
And Bernie Sanders is really starting to separate himself. He's got eliminate medical debt. We need rent control. He's really going all in on like he did in the last election cycle. He's really going in on doubling down into dim sock positions.
Yeah, hopefully it works this time.
He's still a reformist, but he also has the craziest demographic of people that want to vote for him. As far as people that I know personally who are more libertarian, still identify as independent voters, but don't recognize that the political spectrum is nothing. It does not actually exist in the way that they themselves perceive the political spectrum. And so one of the coolest things that he's done lately is talk about how he wants to end credit scores, basically.
I'm
he
down for
didn't quite say fuck those tankies in China and their social score bullshit. We're going to eliminate the American public credit registry or the American credit score industry, but he did want to create a secure public credit registry.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds
Shit, yeah.
good.
Which is still market which is still a market function.
It's still goofy bullshit, I mean, sure.
Yeah.
But also, it's better than what we've got now.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm personally just taking, shitty payday loans from everywhere. Literally, I'll tour across the country and sign up for them and then just, forget about them. I'm trying to get my credit score to exactly 420. And then, I don't
not
know,
that
I'll call
hard,
it another
though,
project.
Jesus.
Oh, no, trust me, I haven't been trying that hard. But yeah, like, of course, like, it is all just palliative reformation of a system that is killing us and everyone. But I mean, shit, it's better than nothing.
I mean, I think if this was like a reform that he proposed by itself, I would be like maybe a little more where you're at. But I think that as a chaser to the like, let's cancel medical debt, it's a really good idea, and it's like really robust thinking, and it's one of the things that makes me really like him, because he addresses a problem from so many different angles, and he's not like waiting for problems to arise and then we'll, hope in like Kamala Harris style, like in 10 years that we'll be finally able to like pass a minor, reform or solution to help people. To like come out ahead of it like this is, I think, really what still, maybe he's not like the number one most like radical leftist in America, but for a guy running for president, it's like extremely impressive,
Yeah.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
His exact line is that medical debt would be excluded from credit scores. So not only does he want Medicare for all, does he want to cancel medical debt, he also wants to make sure that credit companies cannot ding you for your medical debt.
And that your credit scores can't be used like for housing, jobs, and something else. I forget.
Health insurance, health insurance, or just insurance coverage.
Yeah, so it's like that's pretty freaking awesome. That would change a lot of people's lives.
That's honestly,
it's the kind of thing. Sorry,
I'm surprised that libertarians don't support something like this. Like the idea of like a secure, centralized system that uses like algorithms that we all know what they do and how they operate, that is used by other financial institutions to generate like a price a price range for covering you. Makes much more sense than allowing companies to create their own incentivized systems or algorithms that they use, like, because they've obviously in the past abused things like this in order to generate profit for themselves. And so as long as this is this is something that seems stupidly simple, especially when you frame it as like, this will eliminate cronyism.
Most libertarians are just so incoherent. I don't think there's any point trying to...
Well, that's the thing. They're totally against. Even God bless, not to talk shit on a friend of the show. But I was listening to the 15 Million Flowers episode. Also, go listen to that. It's very good. With the guy from, Libertarian Memes for Neoliberal Teens or whatever. The fucking
that's the name of his Facebook page. Our buddy Sam.
I listen.
I know people by their handles. Anyway. My point is, like, yeah, totally. And he's one of the good ones, which do not take that out of context. But, libertarians are totally like, oh yeah, this specific kind of hierarchy sucks. This specific kind of hierarchy just being like, for 90% of them, it's like fucking just Obama. It begins and ends at Obama. But every other kind of hierarchy is great. It's just real sick how many people are like, oh, no, yeah, every other form of oppression is great. It's just when the government does it, it's bad.
Yeah, and it's also like really fucked up to be boxed out of a job where a lot of times, it's jobs where you supposedly have like financial responsibilities, probably like working for a bank, like, which, it's funny because banks obviously are like fucking crooks and criminals, but
absolutely,
it's like you have some kind of financial responsibility and they do a background check and they look at your credit score and they decide, oh, you're not good with money or finances or whatever, so you can't have a job. And it's like, yeah, I had medical debt and now I can't get a job to pay it off. And also, like, that has nothing to do with even like personal responsibility is like one of the dumbest concepts in American politics, but this doesn't even have anything to do with personal responsibility in a lot of cases. You're just ruining people's lives for not being rich and not being healthy.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the thing too. It's, of course, like all these structural fixes would go a long way to fixing things, but at the end of the day, it's like a cultural sickness of like, in a lot of people's minds, you're only poor because one day you just decided to start smoking crack out of nowhere, and that's the only way people are poor ever.
Yeah,
I'm exaggerating, of course,
when
but
we know that Ed Buck is in fact personally getting people addicted to crack.
I just want to say, if the free market was real, then the only way to determine whether or not something was beneficial to society or whether people wanted it is not through a monetary system that can be easily manipulated by people with more money. It is to provide the necessities of life for everybody and then make it so that they don't need a job to pay them, but they can choose where they go work. And the things that people choose to do the most will be the things that do happen. That's the only free market that would exist, that could ever exist.
So, that's a really good point because, like, obviously, like, free market, types are living in a fantasy land because, just even with a basic understanding of... exactly. With just a basic understanding of history and just, the way things are generally, like, the market's as free as you want to fucking claim it is, but at the end of the day, like, some goods are just, so fucking inelastic that, like, I'm gonna be buying food at the end of the day no matter what. I'm gonna be having to pay for housing. I'm not gonna just live outside and, I'm not gonna live outside because it's cheaper.
Yeah, what makes capitalism, like, markets existed before capitalism. They've always existed. We had the Silk Road and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
What makes it capitalism is the market imperative. You have to enter the market. Everything goes through the market. You don't have the option to just live outside of it.
Yeah, and that gets into their whole mindset of like, oh, well, obviously this is the way it should be because this is the way it fucking works.
And also, there's no freedom if there's an imperative. Right?
Yeah.
We don't live in a world anymore where
that cannot be overstated enough. Yeah.
And also the critique of like commune style living where it's like, oh, people are lazy. It's like, if you have to eat, you're gonna be out in the fucking field working those potatoes, okay? You're gonna be out there like at night talking to them, being like, I hope you grow up so big and yummy, fucking like hand watering each one, because that's your fucking food. Like, people don't not work under, people don't
they're
need
work for
money.
what they need.
Yeah, you're gonna work for what you need. You work under capitalism to get what you need. You don't always have the opportunity to do so, and that's the issue. And
also, conversely, fucking people, what's wrong with being lazy? If your work is done and like you're provided for, fucking, I'm gonna kick my goddamn feet up. Like, I earned it.
Yeah, I mean, we're only on this on this planet a short amount of time. I think it's so insane, this idea that like we should be hustling all the time or like girl boss, like it's like no, relax, like chill the fuck out because there's not that much time really, spend it.
Yeah, fucking drink a beer, read a book, like
go get
just
to
hang
know
out.
Your fucking kids.
You didn't actually earn anything until your net worth is like $1 million or more. Then you can say that you've like earned something, right?
Yeah, and if you just happen to be born in that $1 million, well, fucking fine, Yeah.
I mean,
no, but I guess
the argument of putting up with your millionaire relatives as being emotional labor that you should be compensated for.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, we could, I'm sure, all go on our own fucking full episode length anti-capitalist rants.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start reading whole books from the anarchist library here for episodes, instead of actually saying.
I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking do a whole ass reading of Caliban and the Witch right fucking now. Like, fuck the enclosures, fuck capitalism. It's all shit.
Just put it on
live in the
Twitch,
woods.
please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, get that engagement. I still gotta, like I said, at the end of the day, I still gotta buy food. So.
Well, I mean, where are you gonna go to buy that food, Bo?
McDonald's.
Really? I mean,
how are you going to incentivize someone to create a place for you to go buy food at?
No. I know what this transition's about.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to.
Where am I gonna buy food, Kelton?
I mean, apparently not Cuba, right? Because, yeah.
I'm going to go to the Cuban grocery store because I don't have to make decisions for myself that way.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
Like, there's been a lot of discourse in the last couple days, and I'm sure there will be more before this episode comes out. But basically, the unanimous thing. I mean, not even from like specifically leftist, and I mean, mainly millennials because that's who I'm mainly friends with and shit on the internet. But just people in general that I've seen are like, oh yeah, this fucking rules. Like, we love Trader Joe's, we love No Frills. For our Canadian listeners. And I'm sure there are other brands and, stores that are like this. But, like, fuck yeah. I mean, I just want to, like, pick up a fucking, a bag of chips and just hit the road.
Yeah, I know this is going to blow Benny's mind, but, I would give up every brand of paper towels and be willing to never see that sexy, sexy, brawny man again if it means that I don't have to deal with another fucking Koch brother ruining your goddamn democracy.
Jesus.
Actually, in Cuba, all the paper towel brands are sexy.
Oh. I cook a lot, and I do get kind of snooty about like, oh, we get, this brand of canned beans because it tastes better. But
what if they were just all the best?
I mean, for a lot of staples, I am just like, oh, what's the, which store are we at? Buy the Kroger brand, buy the H-E-B brand. I don't give a shit. It's just, it's just canned tomatoes.
We're pretty snooty about our stuff too, but normally we're looking at the ingredients list to just see what has the least ingredients.
Yeah, I mean, well, one of the reasons I actually like shopping at Aldi, which is like, oh, it's a discount store, whatever, but it's like, on all of their like Aldi brand products, like they don't use any artificial like coloring, for example. So like the pickles are colored with like turmeric to get that pickle color. It's like I will pay like a premium price for that, but it's awesome when I can go to a store and it's like, this is the pickle brand and there's no bullshit in the goddamn pickles to make them yellow.
If every can of tomatoes will like, no, this is literally just a can of tomatoes. There's nothing else in here.
Yeah, they're non-GMO. Enjoy. I'd be like, all right, I'm very good with just this brand of tomatoes.
Mm-hmm. That would be an ideal world, one that we do not live in.
In Aldi, though, we do.
I wish we had a Trader Joe's that was closer to us, because they do have... Trader Joe's feels like it's supposed to be as expensive as Whole Foods, but a lot of stuff they have is surprisingly cheap.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, they put off a very like rich, older, liberal relative vibe of like or like a very like farmers market-y kind of vibe almost. I don't know.
The white family from Get Out definitely shops at Trader Joe's. Kind of
precisely. Thank you for that's exactly what it put it. Yeah. So, but yeah, despite that, I mean, they got $2 Chuck, so they're definitely enabling me.
Did you guys see those IHOP Addams Family cross-promotional drinks?
No.
Yes! Those were so weird.
It was just so funny to see them, like, floating around in my timeline at the same time as these photos of the Cuban grocery store, because it's like... Okay, like, oh, look at socialism, and they're like these beautifully organized shelves. They look like kind of like a Warhol print. It's actually like very pleasing to the eye. And then by contrast, you have this IHOP monstrosity that is supposed to be an Addams Family hot chocolate or whatever, but it just looks like Grimace took like a shit in a mug, and IHOP was like, can we buy that off you? I think our customers would definitely drink that.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too,
horrendous.
like,
it's like capitalism cannot deliver the most basic fucking shit. Like, we can't, I know we don't have healthcare, but can we at least get hot chocolate drinks that look like the pictures on the menu?
Yeah, like food culture in general, but also like Halloween menus and like Easter menus, like holiday menu stuff. We don't have we have holiday food in America. We have like, a turkey. But we don't have like holiday food the same way that other food cultures have like holiday food that they eat.
In the sense that our food is barely edible. Or
bright purple.
Wait. Are you saying that me fucking getting absolutely rip shit and eating 50 McChickens every 4th of July is not holiday food?
That's the American dream, man.
Absolutely, yeah. No, but yeah, like as like to expand off of both y'all's points. not even getting into the things that are successful but still just kind of suck. Think of all the things that are produced and then just tank, and end up being waste because just, that's sometimes how the market goes.
New cola or new Coca-Cola or whatever.
Yeah, new Coke. I mean, what did they do with all the new Coke that was just sitting in stores? I mean, you can only have that shit on clearance for so long, and then it's just like...
Probably just leaching into our water supply slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they re-released it for the Stranger Things.
No, there's barrels of new Coke somewhere out in the Nevada desert, in like a cave.
That's probably why all of the pipes are like corroding and there's like lead leaching into everyone's water. It's because they dumped that new
It's just
Coke.
a bunch of new Coke flowing through our systems. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Shit. We really do live in a society, huh, y'all?
Yeah. I mean, it really ties into the idea of a Fallout future. Instead of new Coke, we get nuke Coke.
New Coca-Cola.
Shut absolutely the fuck up. How dare you?
Listen.
These
I'm not
Fallout
well
like
versed.
this.
Not well versed in these things, but I get distracted too easily.
No, Kelton, just parrot exactly what I'm saying right now. All right, New Vegas is the best. All the rest are okay.
I
that's
enjoy
the official
every
stance of the
game but
podcast.
New Vegas. Gotcha.
This is not the time to be a goddamn
all right.
centrist, Kelton. You need to take a stand for what you believe in.
No, if y'all are fucking spinning off into a sports podcast, I'm making a goddamn video games podcast in gamer solidarity. I don't know.
Stripping the podcast away from me in light of these takes. I completely understand. So, man, this is
basically what's going to happen is we're going to be streaming 5 days a week, and we're all going to be having our own individual stream, and then like sniping each other's streams from our own streams.
Like
Not
making
even gonna talk to each other
offhanded
anymore. It's
remarks
just
on
gonna-
top of just fucking with one another. Yeah, This is the free market at work. It's already fucking pitting us against one another.
I think that's as good a spot as any to try and wrap things up, because this has been a hell of an episode, everyone.
Fuck you, Kelton. I'll kiss you square on the lips. I swear to God.
Always happy for us to be recording in separate locations for a reason.
Googling your address right now.
Yeah, Kelton
As
is
I
not
tell
ready to
every
give up.
listener, it's 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. Just
I
go
will be
right up to the
there
front door.
and my Uber's pulling up. All right, later.
Yeah, this has been quite a long one. So thank y'all so much for joining us on here.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for having us.
It's fun.
Of course. This is the lovely part where y'all get to do plugs. So tell us what's going on in y'all's world.
Well, we make a podcast about leftist politics and trashy TV. As you guys probably heard, some of the things we've covered recently are the Real Housewives of Dallas, along with the guys of the pod here. And then we also talked about Another Life recently. We've also discussed conspiracy theories. So if like the alien discussion piqued your interest, you can always check out our ep on ancient aliens.
We also talked about
Yes.
the DSA clapping thing, and so far nobody's got mad at us.
Yeah, so if you want to get mad, come listen to our podcast.
Yeah, we also did a bit on that, and I'm sure we've been blocked by several people.
Yeah, no, I feel like that discourse should have generated us more negative attention, which God knows I thrive off negative attention.
You guys
So
clearly
I'm
haven't
just gonna-
seen the people who've blocked the podcast. But
Well, no, I'm just going to come out and say it now. Whatever you think about the DSA and clapping, not even together, but just as separate concepts, whatever you think, you're wrong, and I have the opposite opinion, which makes me right. So write me a letter, like a physical letter, please. I would love to. I'd love to just get a whole bunch of letters. Thanks.
Or leave us a voicemail.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we would have had a
yes.
voicemail segment, but none of you motherfuckers called, so
They're
we spared our
shy,
guests.
Nice.
Oh
You set up a
Yeah,
voicemail
yeah.
box. That's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was really hoping someone would ask for advice. I think that's so cool, but I really want to give people advice. I don't care about your politics. I just want to hear about your weird, like, personal dramas or, like, a weird dream you had and you want me to interpret it for you.
Well, see, call in and we can hook it up next time, and then hopefully by then we'll have weaseled our way onto y'all's show again, so we can talk about Tall Girl.
yeah.
What's going on there?
Yes, we will have to break that down soon.
Yeah, what's going on our side of things, Zach?
On our side, we have another episode of 50 Million Flowers coming out. We collabed with What a Hell of a Way to Die on this latest episode.
Nice.
And we talked about a particular someone who is kind of big in social media. His name may or may not rhyme with Clam Drinshaw.
Damn Scrimshaw, indeed.
I was gonna say, Clam. Is this like a SpongeBob bit you're doing?
May or
no,
may not
I just,
only have one eye.
I'm just
His
like,
name may or may not rhyme with Solid Snake.
I'm 3/4 of the way through my list of like ways to mispronounce his name after the episode. So I'm running.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Bottom of the
Yeah,
barrel
I don't mean
here.
to- I don't
Listen.
mean to bit shame. Yeah.
Yeah, as I
your
keep on
favorite
reminding
person?
people, my major takeaway from that episode was that we need to stop making fun of the fact that he has only one eye, because that's ableist, and we need to start making fun of the fact that his mom died of cancer, because that is just objectively hilarious.
Holy shit.
Wow, I
No,
almost
listen,
felt bad about my
you know-
one eye comment until you just told me what I'm
Yeah, I was
supposed
gonna
to be
say,
making
yeah,
fun of him for.
having one eye, having a body that is, different in any way is fine. It's trying to, act like you're a fucking '80s action hero because of that.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes just high cringe.
Yep. And
Yeah.
then I know on Twitch, we're going to be doing Fridays, and we're going to be switching up the formatting a little bit, where we're just not going to do a movie officially.
The last one broke us. Pathfinder was too bad. It was
Yeah, as amazing as it is, this might come as a surprise to some people. Carl Urban's rich filmography is not as deep a vein as we thought it was. So,
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
just thought that we might just riff, have conversations, maybe get together and start knocking out some of the stories as we prepare for the podcast. Make sure we all are looking at the right docket. Real high intensity type stuff for us.
well,
I don't know about y'all, but I think that just about does it for the episode.
Okay, bye.
All right, guys. Deuces. Thanks for listening to another episode of Psychic Dolphin Garage. Check out our link tree in the show notes so you can join our Discord, watch us on Twitch, and find our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. Word of mouth is still the best way for us to bring this weird leftist show to as many people as we possibly can. So if you like the episode, please share it with someone. Anyone. Just one other person at your school or office or parole hearing who you think might like what we do. We trust your judgment. Go ahead and also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Dolphin Garage. Our music is provided by Amoeba Crew. Find them on Twitter at Amoeba Crew. You can find the link to their YouTube page in our episode description.